Roll Tide and welcome back to Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're inside the Advantage Center podcast studio. I'm Roger Hoover, pleased to be joined now by Alabama soccer freshman Breezie Brewer, getting set for her first season, getting to compete for Alabama. And Breezie, Roll Tide, we're glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're really fired up for what's coming up this season. You and the Crimson Tide, I know you had some time before to get to know your teammates, get to know Coach Hart and the style of play, but what has you excited the most about this year?
I think my freshman class has definitely been probably the highest recruiting class, and coming in, seeing all of our talent. I feel like we're all pushing each other really to make an impact this year, and I think it's going to be huge with the amount of freshmen we have, having a lot of young starters and stuff. I think it's going to be really exciting to see us how we do.
Are you guys just itching to get into that game
Yeah.
feel at this point?
Yeah, definitely. I think even in practice, they're so competitive. We're just so ready to put it all out onto the field.
Who have been some veterans that have helped ease that transition for you to college soccer?
I think my sister's played a huge role in it, being in the environment already, kind of helping me get through. I would probably say Gianna has been really probably one of my best friends on the team, and just keeping my head straight, even through the ups and downs of the spring and so on. But yeah.
We've seen her score some great goals for Alabama. We talked about it with Wes earlier on the show. She's so fast, and sometimes you forget about that.
Yeah.
But she has got to have some of the best speed you've seen in soccer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going against her every day in practice is definitely preparing me for the games down in the season, against Arkansas and stuff. But yeah, it's really exciting to be out there.
That's really good. And not only offensively, of course, everyone loves to see goals and see how they're formed,
Yeah.
all the set pieces, things like that. But this is a program that's kind of built on defense. What have you learned about what it means to play Alabama style on defense?
I think it's been super important, the emphasis of the hunt. I think we are the hardest working team in the SEC, trying to get that ball back. And I think those are one of our core values is the word hunt. So coming into an environment like this, it's nonstop work, and I think it helps our success because, we have the ball. When we win the ball, we're flying forward. We have Gianna, we have all those girls up top. So yeah, it really pays off.
Is it pretty comparable to some of the elite U.S. national team stuff you've done before, and the style of play and then that competitive spirit that this group has?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I feel there's so much talent here, and then all of us working together with the same goals have been so fun.
That's really good to see. So again, everything's coming up for the Crimson Tide. We'll talk a little more about what's coming up this fall in a moment, but let's go back first to you and your journey and how you got to Alabama. Tell us first of all where you grew up.
I'm from Riverside, California. It's in Southern California area. My journey to Alabama was interesting. I was really against it at first because I didn't want, my sister had committed here, and I didn't want the stigma to be oh, she's only coming because her sister's there. And so I fought it for the longest time. And then my parents made me come, just see the campus, before June 15th to really show me, because I was so in denial of coming, and then right when I came I was oh my god, I want to come here. I wound up committing on the second day, so June 15th is when they can contact you. I committed on the second day because I knew that's where I wanted to go. Yeah, it's been ever since then. I've been Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, and we're glad you're here along with your sister Callie Brewer. How competitive were you two growing up?
It was a little unhealthy, I would say. It still kind of is, but I think we have pushed each other to where we are today. I would not be the player I am without her, and vice versa, I would say.
Yeah, that's something we asked Wes about, and he goes, no, they would tackle each other just as hard as they were complete strangers.
Yeah.
Not only a sports family with Callie, but tell us about your parents and what they did.
My dad played in the NFL, so that's a huge background, growing up with training and stuff. The expectations were really high, and then my mom also played Division I soccer, and then we also have my brother plays football and baseball, and then my little sister also plays soccer. Hopefully she can come here too. But yeah, it's been a really competitive household. Even my sisters, they've showed me what it means to really work hard. And my parents, they understand the process, so they've put me in a lot of good opportunities to really take my game to the next level and also kind of separate myself from the rest. I feel my whole family is a lot of athletes. My grandma did swim and dive at SC. My mom's dad played basketball at SC. And there's just so many, my grandpa played at UCLA. So it's just we're a family of athletes. So I think that obviously it plays a huge role into my success and also me as a person. it's kind of like what I do.
So with all that athletic background, what made soccer win out for you and specifically your sister Callie as well?
It was pushed by my mom. We didn't really have a choice growing up because she played soccer. But obviously I grew to love it, and it felt the best for me.
And it's absolutely great to see, and her success as well. Like you mentioned, that you didn't want to always be known as Callie's sister. How'd you do some things as you're growing up to kind of stand out from the rest and really make Breezie, your own star?
I think Callie and I are super different players. I'm really like loud. I'm physical. I'm aggressive. I think Callie is more composed and like calm on the ball. So I feel like the scrappiness of me kind of set me apart a little bit, like, oh, that's a little sister. But I think if you watch us play, we are different players, but just like the stigma of, oh, I'm her little sister has always like been a little bit, I don't know how to explain it, but a little thing that I just keep with me.
Did you play on a lot of the same teams growing up, or is
Yeah.
the age difference keeping you apart?
I played up on her team, which was super beneficial to me and like my growth. It was also really nice for my parents because we don't got to go to 2 different games. But yeah, we've always played on the same teams growing up. So yeah.
That's certainly good to see. And then once soccer became clear that was going to be the path for you to go on, what were some steps that maybe were a little outside the box that you and your family took to making sure you were training the right way, getting all the support you need to become an elite player?
I would say like in like 5th and 6th grade, I kind of really started taking it really serious. And then that's when I enrolled in like a sports academy school. It was called a prep school. I think that I contribute all of my success to that school because of the way it grew me as an athlete. I think the stigma around me specifically is like how athletic I am, like my strength, my speed and stuff. And I think doing that, it kind of showed how invested I was in soccer and how serious I took it. Like not going to public school, not even going to a regular high school, like staying in that, like being homeschooled. I think that's where probably in 6th grade is when I started really taking soccer seriously. And then like from then on, it was like all in.
So even as early as like 6th, 7th grade, you were having a daily schedule that's now pretty comparable to what you do at Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think that it's preached a lot at that school that we're getting ready for the Division I level. So coming into Alabama, the transition was so easy because I've been doing it my whole life. But like we would start at like 6 a.m. and have like a 2-hour training session, and then we have 3 hours of like school, and then we train at the end, and then I had club practice on top of that. So like getting in since I've been doing this like my whole life, like having the 2-a-days and stuff throughout the whole week, like it has not been as hard as maybe some like other freshmen kind of trying to adjust.
What can you tell us about Winter Circle?
I think Winter Circle has been like such a good experience for me, at least. I know there's like a lot of boys on the football team here now also went to Winter Circle with me. So it's kind of a bond that like only people really understand it, but it was so fun. Like I loved every minute of it. It really it showed us how to work hard, but also like being in the environment, since there was like 4 girls and my sister and I were 2 of them, like being around those like alpha males, like they really like pushed me to be where I am, and like kind of I'm not afraid to talk to them, you know what I mean? Like, cause I'm like, I remember you when you were 14, like that could barely like bench press 45s and stuff. So yeah.
Where do you feel like all that experience in the weight room, specifically from an early age, has helped you the most getting ready for college soccer?
I would say like coming into college, a lot of girls have never lifted weights like as a freshman. And since I've been lifting and like doing all that stuff since 6th grade, I feel like I have that kind of step ahead. I would say like even in our lifting groups, I'm not lifting with the freshmen. I'm more lifting with like the seniors and stuff. But I think just having that background of the like understanding the movements and like not getting hurt, I think has played a huge role into that.
Certainly allowed you to have success on the field. How would you describe your high school years as a player, whether it was in club or even for your school team? Like, how did you kind of evolve as a player over time?
Playing up, I feel like as the youngest on the team, you always have something to prove. And I think being in like that environment at Winter Circle, like it made you hungry. Like it made me want to show who I was like on the field. I think my game really evolved in high school because before I would just work really hard and just be really aggressive. But I think as I progressed, like really understanding the skill of soccer, I think taking all of my strengths and like what made me a good soccer player into like mixed in with also being a soccer player, I think that's when I kind of made my steps ahead.
What's your style now? I mean, you told me before, you can't really position you one spot or
Right.
another, but where do you fit in the most? What kind of style can you play here?
I feel like for me, I have a strength of being really versatile. Like I can play any position on the field and like feel comfortable on that. I think that's a really big strength of mine, but I'm really fast. I'm strong. Like I'm not scared to get into tackles. And I think that plays a huge role. Even kind of the reason I chose Alabama was to play in the SEC. I feel like that's a lot of the style of play we play. Like we're strong, we're fast, we want to get the ball moving. But yeah, I think that's kind of how I would describe myself. Like just an all around like really athletic player, but also like I can dribble through people like with confidence and stuff. So yeah.
That's really good. We love seeing that coming up here. But I mentioned before you've been to some select showcases for the
Right.
U.S. women's national team and different age levels, things like that. How much has that kind of preparation helped you?
I think that is more of, it makes you a little bit more confident knowing that, hey, I can compete at that level. I think those type of environments kind of help you to really understand stress and pressure and like coming into an environment like in club. There's not really like as much pressure to go to like practices as here. Every single practice matters. And I think going to things like that, it kind of shows you what it's like to really just be in like that kind of pro environment, I would say.
And now you look on rosters of other SEC
Yeah.
schools, the top programs around the country. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of the same players you went up against there.
Yeah, definitely. I think even a lot of my club teammates, like being able to play them, I'm super excited to really just kind of play each other again and just be around each other too.
Now, was soccer your only sport during your high school years, or did I read you also had a little bit of football experience, place kicking?
No, it wasn't my only sport. I did track too, but yeah, I did kick for the football team my senior year. It was more of a joke, but it kind of got taken really serious when I was able to like actually do it. Like I was just like, oh yeah, I'll kick for you guys because they didn't have a kicker. But then like as practice progressed, like I was hitting the 45-yarders and like it was such a cool experience. But yeah. I'm surprised you knew that. That's something I don't really tell anyone, but
Well, I mean,
yeah.
it's a good experience. And again, we saw with the Vanderbilt, Sarah Fuller, I believe her name was a
Yeah.
few years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
that is becoming more and more the norm. Did you think maybe that was something you can go down? I mean, you say 45 yards.
Yeah. I think maybe I would never rule anything out, but I feel like I'm so focused on soccer, I would not want anything to really take away from that. And I think even at like my senior year, I was already committed. I kind of knew where I was at. I knew where I was headed. It was like a lot of like time that it kind of took away, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see whatever the future holds.
What was the feeling like after all the years kicking a soccer ball? Now all of a sudden you're going to a football. I mean,
Right.
anything really different? We'll see you a lot
Yeah.
on free kicks, I'm sure, for
Yeah.
Alabama. But how different was it kicking a football?
I mean, it wasn't that different. I think like the thing that really like always I had to work on was like I take like 4 or 5 steps before I kick a soccer ball. Oh, I had to take 2.5, and I'm like, oh my god, like how am I supposed to generate any power? But like even working with the special teams coach and stuff like that, getting that down was probably the hardest thing for me. As instead of just like kicking it, I was just kicking it like a soccer ball. But yeah, that was probably the difficult thing.
And getting used to the holder as well, like all
yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah, I know. Like I was able to kick both right and left foot for the field goals, like depending on where they were, like on the side of the field. And I think that kind of messed up the holders because now they're holding left, and I was like, sorry, but yeah.
So what was the longest field goal you had during a game?
45.
It's
Yeah.
really good. And
Yeah.
then pretty good on all the extra points.
Yeah, those are easy. Those are like PKs, but yeah.
That's really cool to see. And so all of that kind of gets you ready for what's going to be coming up this year with this Crimson Tide
Yeah.
team. You mentioned you can fill a variety of different roles for this group, and obviously you're going to bring the effort, bring the energy. What excites you the most about starting with the back line, in case we see a lot there,
Yeah.
what this back line can do?
I feel like we are really young, and I think a lot of teams could take us for granted, but having like the experience, like even the youth experience of us playing at such high levels, like I don't think coming into the SEC, people are going to underestimate our back line for being so young and not having the experience, but we're so athletic, we're so dynamic, like anyone in the back line can dribble, and like I feel like there's a stigma around defenders that like we don't have the skills or whatever, but I think we're so technical in the back line and also so athletic. Like I'm super excited to see what like happens, and then so yeah.
Do you get excited as well for the challenge of marking an elite score from another team, specifically once we get into SEC play?
Yeah. I think going against Gianna, I try to go against her like every single day, or even Leah. I think in the spring, because Gianna was hurt, I went against Leah like every single rep, every single practice, just to kind of like get like used to the speed, get used to like them coming at me, like coming from club. There's only a few players that are really going into like that type of environment, and like going against Gianna every day, I think has really helped like me to like get ready for that. But yeah, I'm not that scared now.
Well, we're excited for what's coming up this fall. For you, just how much fun is it to be around your sister again in an environment like this? You're both college athletes on the same elite team.
I think it's such a cool experience. I know a lot of girls don't get to experience it. Like, it's a once in a lifetime type of opportunity, but it's still like so competitive. Like in the practice, like when I step in that facility, she's my teammate. When we step out, we're sisters, and I just try to like kind of keep that a little professional environment just because it needs to be. But it's been so fun, like having to be able to share this experience with her. It's so fun, and like I know I'm going to remember it the rest of my life. So
what have you enjoyed most about Tuscaloosa?
It is definitely way different. I think just the atmosphere of the campus, like being around all the athletes has been so fun. Just experience game days on like every single sport has a different feel as a game day. And I think that has been really cool to like experience, but also like the culture, like everyone comes together for a game day. I think that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, we really see that across all sports. Looking at what you're doing in the classroom, kind of what's the focus there? And then maybe for a career after soccer, what do you think you could go into?
Right now my major is sport management. I think it's like the perfect major for me. I'm doing sports management with a minor in sports broadcasting. I think getting into something like that, broadcasting, would be super fun. But also if I wanted to take more of it like an administrative role, I can kind of lean back on the sport management kind of degree. But I don't know, we'll see after soccer.
Well, that's certainly good. And you mentioned after soccer because hopefully you have a long professional career coming up. Is it just helpful having so many former Alabama players from the last couple teams already making their mark in pro soccer?
Yeah, I think it's kind of inspiring because you think Alabama's not historically a soccer school, and now that we're becoming one, seeing those players who made it out, it's super inspiring. Like, hey, I can be the next one. They've paved that path. Like, I want to be the next one on that board. So. Yeah.
That's really good. What else should our fans know about Breezie Brewer?
They should know that I'm always going to give like 100% effort in everything I do. And like, no matter if I'm starting or if I'm on the bench, like I'm always going to be like the team player. I want to like just embrace my role this year. Cause I don't really know which way it's going to go. I could be like a starter of all the games, and I could be coming off the bench, kind of like Gianna did in the, her freshman year. But yeah, I just love like success for everyone. Like I don't want like anyone's success not to go unnoticed. So yeah.
All right, you're on this week's show. Coming up next week, we're gonna have Callie Brewer. What should I ask Callie when we interview her?
I'd probably ask her. She had probably had a different experience than me in the spring, getting hurt. I think that's such a huge thing that no one really likes to talk about. Like being injured, watching a team be so successful. I think that would be like a cool thing to talk about.
We'll go down that path.
Yeah.
Well, Breezie, we have had a blast catching up with you, getting ready for this upcoming season. Just thank you so much for the time you've given us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We'll talk to you again. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide.